Teaching an adult ESL learner one-on-one can be a lot of fun. These students are advanced students, otherwise they would be in one of our classes. So typically they're highly motivated and very appreciative. Okay,
ready?
Yeah.
Go.
Teaching an adult ESL learner one-on-one can be a lot of fun. They're advanced students, otherwise they'd be in one of our classes. They're highly motivated, and usually they're very appreciative of your time. Learning a language, however, no matter how advanced you are, can be very difficult and frustrating. Keep this in mind when you're teaching. When in doubt, keep it as simple as possible. Try to only introduce 1 or 2 new topics at a time, and then review, review, review. The more practice you give them, the more likely they are to remember it long term. To keep it interesting, we'll talk about some different techniques to use to reinforce the same point. So in every lesson, you'll want to establish your target language. This is the point that you want them to know when they leave. The target language could be a grammar point, like a verb tense or a part of speech. It could be a series of vocabulary words, like zoo animals or classroom objects, or it could be a real-life skill, like talking to your child's teacher or filling out forms at the doctor's office. Each lesson you'll need to establish your target language and work hard not to add too many other types of language to this skill. As you start planning, you'll see that naturally in English we use many different types of language all at once. So it can be hard at first to simplify it down to one type of language. But you'll notice that you have better results and that it's more manageable for your students if you're able to do this. So an hour lesson would look something like this. You would start with a warm-up or a review of some kind. This could be as simple as you just talking with your learner about their week, or about what's been going on, or about what you studied last week. This doesn't have to be real involved, just something to kind of break the ice, calm their nerves a little bit, and get them started back in English. For some of these folks, they don't talk in English during the week, they talk in their primary language. So getting them back warmed up in English can be very helpful. Then you're going to do your presentation. Presentation is a slightly misleading term because it kind of sounds like what I'm doing right now, just talking to the student. That's not necessarily the case. They're still actively involved in this process, but you're presenting new information. So this is where you're introducing the target language, and we're going to look at a grammar point to show an example of this. So let's say that your grammar point was prepositions. Now, if you look online, there's hundreds of prepositions, so you're going to want to narrow it down. I've chosen 2 for the purpose of this lesson. That would be a pretty simple lesson. You could do 3 or 4 or introduce more vocabulary with it, but just to show you an example, we're going to take 2. So in this lesson, I'm going to choose next to and on top of as my target language, those prepositions. Now, I like to use a lot of pictures in my lesson. You don't have to do that, but it's more beneficial for me. It's helpful for me to use pictures. And I feel like my learners get a lot out of it too. I get all of my pictures from gettyimages.com. It's a free website where you can download pictures with the rights to use them. So you're not violating any copyright laws. You don't have to worry about any of that. Now, since we're not selling our lessons, that's not as big of an issue, but just to make sure you're never going to get any type of legal drawback, I use Getty Images. And they have thousands of images, so you can find whatever you're looking for, as you'll see from my pictures. So a presentation would go something like this. So imagine that I'm talking with my student, and they're going to be responding back. So there's going to be some pauses that I'm going to have that you're imagining a student responding to me. So when I'm talking with my student, I'd say something like this. This is Bob, and this is Henry. Bob and Henry are friends. They are close, close friends. How else could we say that they're close together? How might we say that? So here I'm pausing to let them try to come up with the word. Even if they don't know it, this is a beneficial moment because it's creating a gap in their knowledge. And as soon as I fill it, if they can't fill it themselves, then they know exactly where to put that information. They know what they're trying to say, they just don't know it in English. So I asked them, how would we say this in English? If they don't know it, I would say, Bob is next to Henry. At this point, I'm going to write it on the board or on a piece of paper for them to see it. Now, I've chosen to put next to in a different color because this is my target language. This is what I'm drawing out for them. So next to is in a different color. You can even do this if you're just writing on a piece of paper, you and a student. It's helpful to draw attention to that target language. So then I would ask them some questions about this. I want to make sure that they understand. So I'm going to ask some questions. I might ask, who's this? Trying to get them to say Bob. Who's this? Henry. Are they friends? Yes. Then I might try to get them to say next to a few times. How are they? You know, how are they sitting? Where are they? Just so that they practice saying next to a little bit. And you can even do a few listen and repeats where you just say it. Bob is next to Henry. And they repeat it a couple of times. If they're having a little bit of trouble with something, you might need to just isolate a certain sound, like this X sound. You might need to work a little bit on that if they're having trouble. Then I'm going to move into the next preposition. So then I might say, things aren't so good right now with Bob and Henry. They're mad. They're not happy right now. And they're having a fight. And Bob's winning. He's hurting Henry. They're not happy. How might we say this? How's Bob with Henry? They're not next to, right? So again, I'm giving them some time here to let them come up with that word, that preposition. And I might get any sorts of things right here.